Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's SilentGamer1 and today we're doing a video discussion about the matchmaking in PvP. So let's hop to it. Subscribe, give a like, and let's get this. Alright, let's check on the matchmaking, see how matchmaking is still horrible on this game. It's very bad and it lags a lot. Sometimes after 10 minutes of gameplay in Legends, matchmaking can be very horrible. At some point, matchmaking is like very messed up. That, sometimes matchmaking is kind of messed up on the game, especially if you use even if you use a Wi-Fi, or even if you use regular internet on your phone or something like that. PvP matchmaking can still be bad even after 10 minutes of gameplay, which is very horrible for the game. For the last update, it's just like the matchmaking for PvP has been messed up. And sometimes even in PvP, when you play PvP against your opponent, sometimes I get no vanish gauge, and sometimes when I tap the card, sometimes the card won't even activate the card. It'll just sit there glitched and stuff. So that's how it is in PvP. The matchmaking PvP is like horrible, as sometimes PvP matchmaking is very horrible, I would say. Especially playing it, and sometimes when you're fighting in PvP, the person lags and lose connection sometimes, even for yourself. Sometimes, like, even when you play PvP against these players, PvP is kind of horrible to play with bad connection. And that's why PvP is like very hard to play. When we got other players' connection is all terrible. That's why, like, you try to win in PvP, like when you're fighting your opponent, but sometimes PvP is, sometimes you just lose connection, or you lose the match only because of lag in PvP, or because the opponent had bad connection, or trying to mod and hack the game, which is a very issue for the game. So, PvP is kind of I think PvP is outdated with the matchmaking, and it needs work, like, badly. Sometimes you just lose connection in PvP. And that's why PvP is kind of hard to play. Like sometimes in PvP where you fight your opponent, and then sometimes the match can turn into a draw in an instant. It's either because the player is hacking or the player just had bad connection to the point where you're just gonna end up losing the match only because of lag. You know, because lag is an issue in the game, especially for PvP. PvP is like kind of horrible. That seemed like a kind of a lag in the game. So basically I lost to this player only because of lag. That's seriously an issue for PvP. Very deeply, this is a very issue. Now, I'm not angry about this win or loss thing. It's just PvP is so hard to play with against lag, and matchmaking in PvP is kind of horrible. So it doesn't really matter what team you're using in Legends. It's just PvP is horrible either way. And PvP hasn't been updated in so long. I don't know how long. The last time they updated PvP was when they changed the Rising Rush, that you go back to neutral if your opponent guesses you. And that's the only thing they did. They did change. But they didn't change the matchmaking in PvP, where it needs to be updated even more. So, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, I can go click region, I can go click powerful opponent, and still lose in PvP, only because of lag. You know, because lag is, it's an issue in PvP, and so is the matchmaking. Like, if I play for 10 minutes, I guarantee you I'll get no matches in PvP. No matches in PvP. This is why PvP is horrible, bro. I tell you. It's like hard to play PvP. PvP matchmaking. This guy has no guild. What? Sometimes players can be bots. So sometimes you could be versing a bot, and it could be like at the same time it could turn around to be a real player. And sometimes, but sometimes when a player doesn't have no guild, it's usually a bot. But sometimes it could be a real player. It depends how the character plays. So if it turns out to play like a player, then it's probably a player. But usually players with no guild don't really play PvP. So, you know, with bad connection, PvP is just like, there's nothing to do. You know, PvP. Sometimes, even in PvP, you lose connection when you play during PvP. It can also happen. Or sometimes the player could be cheating in the game, where the person mods and hacks, and you know that's not really allowed in the game. This guy has a terrible team. I just noticed that. It doesn't matter if I win or lose. This video isn't about winning in PvP. This is just showing what's the problems in PvP. So, you know, what's currently messing up PvP. I'm starting to get a little bit of lag on my PvP gameplay. I'm getting a little bit of lag myself. Sometimes it's not about. Sometimes in PvP, it's not the connection that's messing you up. It's the game itself. Sometimes the game itself, when you play PvP, matchmaking can easily dismount your connection and make your connection horrible. And that's where it comes to the point where your PvP matches, you lose a lot. And you see I couldn't vanish there, really. The vanishing gauge is not working for me, so I'm losing like it's nothing. That's also an issue for the game. Well, for me it is. Probably not for other players that have their vanish gauge is not messed up. It's messed up for me because I can't really dodge all the time. You know, and sometimes it don't work. And when I try to vanish, it don't even vanish. You know. Get this LF. See, I couldn't vanish there. That's also another problem. There we go. Now I vanish. See, this is a really issue for me. I lose vanish very quickly. And sometimes when I click the cards, sometimes the cards don't even activate. It's lagging again. See, it didn't even really click the card. Sometimes when I click the card in PvP, you know, matchmaking is so horrible, and it needs to be fixed. Sometimes the matchmaking system where you try to load up on PvP, sometimes for me, if I play PvP 10 to 15 minutes and my phone's hot, PvP with the matchmaking, it won't give me no matches at all. I will just sit there looking hopeless. Like, there's no hope to play PvP. You know what I mean? So, you know, PvP is kind of horrible. It needs to be fixed. Developers, you guys got to do better. Y'all need to fix PvP's matchmaking because it's horrible. It needs work. We don't want this matchmaking PvP matchmaking horrible during 1000 day celebration. We kind of don't want that going wrong. So, you know, it needs to be fixed. Work it. It needs work. It needs work. So, there you guys go. See you in my next video. Subscribe to my channel and give a like.